Well, what happened is I was awoken at 6 a.m. by a commotion, megaphones and dogs barking and people yelling, and I went outside and saw a lot of soldiers in attack formation coming down the driveway with automatic weapons. I was naked. I went back inside, put some shorts on. The next thing I know, I'm pushed up against the wall. I'm handcuffed, searched. They show me a warrant. I didn't get a chance to read it. And I spent the next 14 hours handcuffed, along with 14 other people, women. We had no food all day, except a couple of snacks at 4 o'clock when they let one of the women go inside and get some potato chips and cookies. It was just a very rude day from day one. They took me to Belize City. They charged me with having one firearm without a license. I have a security company. The company is only to protect me. I am a well-known public figure. I'm on the internet. People think I have billions of dollars. To think that I should not protect myself against kidnapping, robbery, whatever, is ridiculous. Everywhere I go in the States, when I show up in a small town, the police assign someone on the compound with me to live there while I am there. Obviously, I need protection, so I had security guards, I had firearms. They were all licensed. One of the licenses that I had given them in the morning simply disappeared, or something happened to it. They took me into Belize City. They booked me for having an unlicensed firearm. In the meantime, my people found the original license, bought it in, showed them. They still would not release me. It took the intervention of the U.S. Embassy to get me out. Now, tomorrow we are filing a lawsuit. We're filing a whole bunch of lawsuits. The first one is on behalf of the 12 people who were illegally detained for that day. 2 of them, by the way, were contractors who had come to fix one of the rooms in my house. They just showed up at the gate about 8 o'clock. They grabbed them, put them in handcuffs. All day long, 14 hours they sat there. So we'll be filing suits on behalf of those people, the women, everybody who was not charged. And that's a small suit, but merely to get their attention. If we don't get any satisfaction in terms of disciplinary action or an apology, then we will file a very major lawsuit, because I was sitting there in handcuffs right by the New River as all the American tourists were coming by all day long watching. My neighbors, my acquaintances, my business associates, all of this is happening. A major, major lawsuit. So, and as you are aware, as I showed you earlier, there are already 29,000 articles written about this arrest on the web, and it's growing dramatically, and I have not yet spoken to the outside world.
When the GSU entered the property, did they identify themselves? Did they mention what they were looking for? Did they say what they were doing?
No, they just said, we have a search warrant to search the premises. They showed it to me, but I was pushed up against the wall. Didn't have my glasses. Even if it was right in front of my face, I couldn't read it.
Did you expect this to happen?
Well, actually, I did. It's just a small country, and you know, nothing of that magnitude can go unnoticed for someone like me, in any case. As I had mentioned earlier, I have disgruntled employees. These employees constantly spread rumors. One in particular was spreading extraordinarily nasty rumors, and to people that mattered, like the police. My neighbors that I refused to help for whatever reason, like a husband that takes all the money that you give him and buys booze. These people over the years become disgruntled and angry, and they start spreading rumors. Politicians whose campaigns I did not contribute to. So rumors are always flying, and as they go up the ladder of a bureaucracy, they get stronger and stronger. So I knew something was happening. I knew that they were coming. And I called Minister Saul Deaver many times. Voice, I left messages, I sent emails, I contacted his secretary, and I just showed you the final message. It is urgent, sir. I must talk to you. No response whatsoever. So I think we have a serious lawsuit, and I think we will certainly win, and it will be massive amounts of money, I can promise you.
What could have possibly been some of these rumors that you're speaking?
Oh, I know what they are. Illegal weapons. I take drugs, which is the most absurd of all things. I am one of the world's leading anti-drug campaigners. I do not drink. I do not take drugs. Have not for over 30 years. Human slavery. You name everything, every possible rumor that you can think of that gets magnified and sent up the ladder. 20 minutes with the minister could have resolved the entire issue. He could have asked some pointed questions. I could have answered, shown documentation. We could have bypassed this entire thing, but it did not happen.
You said you were charged?
I was charged for having one. I have a bunch of weapons in the company. I was charged for having one unlicensed firearm. It was in fact licensed. They brought the license down, showed them. We have since gone to the commissioner and showed him the approval letter that he in fact wrote, the license. So there was nothing illegal happening. Now they looked at the lab and tried to say this is an antibiotic research lab. Well, you know, it isn't. It's an antiseptic. One of the things, if you read the amandla, it says that this label clearly states this is an antibiotic. There's no word antibiotic anywhere on here. It says antiseptic. And if it were an antibiotic lab, it would have to be licensed according to the antibiotic regulations here in this country. Antibiotics are drugs taken internally. Antiseptics are things applied externally, like soap is an antiseptic. Alcohol, iodine, peroxide, a radical difference. And yet the police are saying, well, it doesn't matter, an antiseptic and an antibiotic are the same thing. Utterly ridiculous. So the whole thing just is fishy, and it doesn't smell good to me.
Did they drop the charges for the
Absolutely. The firearms are dropped. I have no charges against me, although they are trying consistently to make more. The first, when they went back, is they were planning on trying to find a way to charge me for having an unlicensed lab. The lab was shut down 18 months ago. Even if I did need a license, it's no longer relevant.
The Ministry of Health,
yes.
The Ministry of Health sent out a release saying that they are looking to see if they would bring charges against
well, if they can turn this thing into an antibiotic, then I will eat my shoe.
What would you say regarding the comment that the Ministry of Health put out, the release that says antibiotics and antiseptic is the same, they're just a matter of...
Well, then, I don't think the Ministry of Health sent that out. I think Mr. Vidal said antiseptics and antibiotics are the same. Well, if that is the case, then soap is an antibiotic and should be regulated, because soap is an antiseptic, and so is alcohol, iodine. Those aren't regulated. There are thousands of antiseptics. They are not the same thing, any medical doctor will tell you. An antibiotic are things like penicillin, doxycycline, tetracycline, that you put in your mouth and get into the system. An antiseptic is like an alcohol, the topical that you rub on your skin before you give yourself an injection, or if you cut yourself. They are not the same thing. I mean, if they can actually prove that in court, I will eat my shoe in public and in this office, and you can film it.
Was anything confiscated from you?
Well, a lot of things. My guns, my passport for a while. I finally got the passport back only because the U.S. Embassy insisted this is U.S. Embassy property. Cough it up, and they did. They still have my guns. They took a bunch of stuff, and then even though they were filming everything that was happening with me, keep in mind there were 42 soldiers and police there, 42, to arrest one 66-year-old man, and they were all over the compound. Half of my stuff is missing for the places where the camera was not filming.
Do you think this could happen again to you?
Again? Unlikely. I think the world is watching now. I mean, and the world, I mean, the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, they are in fact watching. These stories prove this.
Okay. You said you have been in hiding. Would you tell us if you fear for your safety?
Well, I don't fear for my safety. It's just I fear for my discomfort and inconvenience. I think the quest for additional charges is merely to put the government in a stronger position, saying, well, see, we did charge them for something, so that when the suit is brought, they might have something to stand on. But really, they're now down to trying to charge me for hiring security guards without a license, which is a misdemeanor. Now, 42 armed soldiers for a misdemeanor? Really, this is ridiculous. And and even then, that will not hold water because they can only charge the company. It is the company that holds the license and the company that does the guards work for. So to say that I'm responsible, well, they'll have to arrest every director and everybody else.
Have you been with had any problems with any government agencies beside the GSU in the league?
Well, I think all government agencies are somewhat problematic in this country and that they're a little bit slow and unpredictable, but I can live with that. No, not really. I don't donate to political parties as a rule of thumb, and I think that angers people. They see me passing out money. And this is another problem. They see me giving all of this money to the police, and they think that those are bribes. If you look at the money I've spent, there are things for boots. Every officer in Orange Walk District has brand new boots, USA boots that I buy, brand new utility belts, pepper spray, mace, collapsible batons for the quick response team, Camelback water packs. So if I wanted to consider that a bribe, what can I get for a pair of boots? It doesn't go to money into the department, and also I insist that everything that I donate be inventoried. Where do these boots actually go? So you can't take half of them and sell them on the open market and put it in your pocket. So to think that those are bribes is ridiculous. Also, I hire off-duty officers. It makes common sense for someone like me. In the States, I do it. Everybody does it. There's nothing illegal with hiring an off-duty officer weekends and after hours. And they call those officers on my payroll. And I hire them for one specific purpose. When I moved to that part of Orange Walk, the village of Carmelita, right next door, was no man's land. Drugs, violence, murders. I decided I would try to clean it up, and to do it legally, well, it makes sense to hire off-duty officers to collect information, and from that information, maybe they can go and do something, and they did. You can't buy drugs in that village now. It's not possible. People come to me all the time saying, "Thank you, Mr. McAfee, for making this village safe. I can go out now at night." So yeah, I hire off-duty officers. Who wouldn't in my position? And the final thing, I have an officer living on my compound. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel safer to know that all the criminals that might want to rob me know there's a policeman living there. And they think there's something wrong with that. Well, this is the only country in the world where that would be the case. And so they twist everything. Not they, but the rumors manage to twist everything that I do into something that makes it a problem. Devious, underhanded, dark, illegal. I'm not stupid enough to do something illegal in a foreign country.
Are you a resident of Belize?
I am.
Do you plan to file for citizenship?
Absolutely not.
Do you believe you were a victim of extortion?
No, I think I was a victim of misunderstandings. I was a victim of rumors that got out of hand. If you're in a unique situation like me, a very visible gringo in a district, I think I'm the only gringo living there, if you discount the Mennonites, then rumors are going to be rampant, and they're going to get out of hand. I can't control them. I don't pay much attention to them. In other places, I would deal with it by calling the person in advance and say, "I don't know what you've heard, but let's sit down and talk," like I tried to do with Mr. Saldiva. I'm simply a victim of the rumor mill.
Do you think wealthy expats face similar...
I'm sorry?
Do you think that wealthy expats face similar ordeal like you're in Indonesia?
Absolutely. Half of them have come to visit me in the middle of the night since I've been here in San Pedro, telling very similar stories. Well, not with the GSU coming in, but in terms of problems with miscommunications, rumors, dealing with business in Belize, of course.
You've mentioned something earlier regarding a politician and a donation. Have you at any time given donation to any Belizean politician?
Absolutely not.
You said that you believe that you were a victim because one of the reasons...
Well, certainly one of the reasons, because that simply added to the rumors. Because he, being very agitated about not getting his share of the wealth I'm spreading around, starts spreading his own rumors. This is how politics are done here. In fact, the week after I refused the donation, it wasn't to the politician himself, but to one of his aides, a talk show on Saturday morning was inundated by calls saying, what are we going to do about the white man by the toll bridge? He's got all of these guns. There are these rumors that he's into illegal activities. I let it pass. The second week, the same thing. So then I said, I got my people in and said, somebody find out who this is. They came back and said, well, we tracked it down. We went to the radio station. We talked. We got records and came down to this politician. I go, oh, that's the guy I didn't donate the money to. It's simply the way it's done here. I don't begrudge him that.
Would you be able to tell us the name of the politician?
Absolutely not. I still have that much sense.
Have you at any time given Belizean politician a reason to believe that you're an influential and wealthy person that can donate to their campaign?
Well, I mean, obviously I am an influential. If you've got the internet or if you've ever read a newspaper, you would know that I am wealthy. Influential, I do not know. And if I am wealthy, they might think that I can, but I don't. If you donate to the losing party, you're out. If you donate to the winning party, you are owned. I prefer to be free.
Have you? What are some of the complaints that the people from that area or from Orange Rock would have?
Okay.
Would add on to the rumors.
Okay. Number one, this man has big weapons, big guns. Well, most of the big guns were pellet guns. You get these really big, aggressive pellet guns with scopes and everything, because it's all show. People drive by and go, "Oh my Lord, we can't rob that place because he's got dogs, fences, and security." But that alarmed the neighbors. What is he doing? Well, I'm a private man. I don't feel obligated to explain what I'm doing because I'm doing nothing illegal. So that's one thing. Number two, when I would go out, I would take my security. Who wouldn't on the mainland? I mean, the Northern Highway is the biggest road between Belize City and Mexico where all the contraband is traveled. I always take security with me. That alarmed the neighbors. They hadn't seen that before.
You said that you call Belize your home. You're willing to stay here in Belize?
Oh, I'm not leaving. Absolutely. In fact, one of the bureaucrats, higher level bureaucrats within the officials, I should call them, within the police department yesterday said, well, if Mr. McAfee doesn't like it here, maybe he should leave. Well, maybe, but I don't intend to.
So why did you decide to stay in Belize after this ordeal?
It was an inconvenience for one day. I mean, it didn't kill me, and caused me to have to be furtive and in hiding for a few days. But I mean, life sucks sometimes, and you just have to get used to it.
You did mention about some problems that Belize have, and you said that Belize does face some problems. Could you tell us how we can change some? How do you believe some of these things can be changed? What are some of these problems?
Here's the problems as I see it. I live next to one of the poorer villages in the country. Fathers seem not to take responsibility for families on the mainland in many cases. When the paycheck comes, instead of going home and giving it to the wife, they buy some beer first. And what's left maybe will go to the wife. If they are inconvenienced or unhappy at home, they just leave. They leave the mother with sometimes 7 or 8 children. Now, these children starve in many cases. I can't count the number of times, people call me Dr. McAfee because that is my title, but I'm not a medical doctor. So parents are always bringing their children to me, Dr. McAfee. I'm not a medical doctor, but let me see. Hair falling out for a small child, we all know that's an advanced sign of malnutrition. I can't count the number of times I've seen small children losing their hair. I do the same thing every time. I say, wait here. I go and I buy food. I buy eggs. I buy fresh fruit if I can. Orange juice to get vitamins. Flour. And hand it to them. And I ask them, I say, I think this child needs food. And they go, well, she eats. I go, what? Well, plantains. When's the last time she had anything different? Well, I don't know, a couple of months. You cannot live on plantains. So this is problem one. The culture itself needs to somehow, when a father does leave the family, he should be looked down on, or but no one seems to care. It's a cultural issue.
How does this incident impact the way you view Belize now?
Well, Well, I've learned a lot more about politics. I've had more calls from politicians, mostly from the other side, but quite a few from the UDP. Saying, "Please, sir, you can't tell anybody about this. I want to come and talk to you." Okay. So I've learned a lot about politics. I'm naive in that I tend to stick to myself. I like to fish. I like to read. I like to stay away, and I like to be left alone.
What are some of the things you learned from this? You say you learn a lot from this.
The politics is done differently here, and it's a lot dirtier, which is okay. Politics is politics. And I've also learned that in this country, the government does not like people speaking out against it. But I'm sorry, in America, this is our tradition. And the government welcomes speaking out against it. Well, here they don't. But I will continue to speak out. I'm not asking for much. Give me an apology. You've stormed into my residence. I should be pissed off, and I am pissed off. I was doing nothing wrong. A bunch of rumors that were unsubstantiated, which the government should have checked, caused all of this. And so they stormed in, they killed my favorite dog, they inconvenienced people, they handcuffed, and they made me look ridiculous. So of course I'm pissed off, and I will say I'm pissed off, and I will not shut up until I get an apology.
You said you want an apology. The GSU said that they are not willing to apologize for the incident.
Well, then we'll be at the standoff forever. Like I said, on Friday, I have already hired Robert Hilton, of a senior lobbyist in Washington, who has assured me that he can get the State Department to hand a travel advisory list out about Belize, which means no one's going to come here. Now, it's only $300 million. However, that's the lion's share of foreign exchange that tourists earn. If they're willing to suffer that, then so be it.
How do you plan to move forward with your life here in Belize?
Same as I always did, fish.
Obviously, you have been a generous donor to Belize. I mean, you have given locally to San Pedro.
Yes.
You have given to the National Coast Guard. There are some people who interpret this as bribe. What would be your take on these type of comments that people pass?
Okay, first of all, what could the Coast Guard possibly do for me? I mean, if I'm going to bribe somebody with that much money, I would choose the mayor here in San Pedro, maybe, if the mayor were amenable to such a bribe. The Coast Guard, what can they do? I gave that boat because I had that boat. The Coast Guard had no boats with radar. This is a military landing craft with radar, full instrumentation, navigation. Why not? The police, good Lord, have you seen the police in this country? On the mainland, half of them don't have guns. And the criminals, they've got fully automatic weapons. So, of course, I give. Who wouldn't?
You choose Belize to come and retire.
You bet. Yes.
Why did you choose?
Well, just 1 block away from here. Just look out there, you'll see why. The most beautiful water in the world. An offshore reef that lets me build a house right on the beach. Can't do that in Florida or any other place. That reef provides a unique environment and a beautiful view.
That goes to my next question. You live between Orange Walk and San Pedro. Why did you choose these 2 locations?
I like rivers too. The river, I mean, there's something magical about rivers, just like there's something magical about the beach. And it's beautiful. Jungle, crocodiles, birds.
Would you still encourage wealthy expats to come to Belize and retire?
Up until Friday, yes.
So if you don't get your apology...
Trust me, on Friday I'm having the lobbyist go to the State Department. He says we can absolutely do it, what with the gangs in Belize and all the other stuff, and me, it'd be a piece of cake. And I will then, and also on Friday, I will for the first time talk to the outside press. And what I will say is not going to be what I said to the Belize press.
How was your antiseptic project? How did that go?
It went okay until the chief researcher, a young woman, up and left. And she was the only one in the country that really understood this technology. And so I shut it down, turned the lab into a coffee roasting.
Do you have plans to renew that?
I do not. I'm too old to restart.
And so you believe you'll remain in the coffee?
Well, and the coffee is sort of is a hobby. As you know, I have the Sail Away Cafe here, and I roast coffee for the cafe, and it's fun. Gives me something to do.
opportunity. What are your future plans?
My future plans? Well, you know, I don't know the future very well. I live day to day. I plan to fish. That's it.
Okay. And any final comments you'd like to share with us?
I think Belize is a wonderful country. I think there's some confusion about a number of things, moral codes, the purpose of government, the purpose of being a steward of the government, like a minister, a commissioner. But as with all young countries, and Belize is a young country. We've been around on this one piece of dirt for a long time, but as a self-governing entity, not very long. It simply takes time. I love this country. I love the people.